Yo, what is going on today, guys? It is Sam, better known as Samito. Welcome back to the channel today for some more Overwatch 2 news. And obviously, it's kind of a big deal. A lot of the Overwatch community and surrounding gaming communities have been talking about the tweet from John Spector addressing the leaks of the alleged new hero, and most importantly, the hero being a Battle Pass earned hero, right? Where you, on the free Battle Pass, would have to unlock the new character. So let me just read through the tweet real quick. Addressing some incomplete info posted early about our Overwatch 2 Battle Pass. We'll be sharing all details ahead of launch, but want to confirm that the new Overwatch 2 heroes will be available on the free track of the Battle Pass. Okay, so what does this mean, man? I mean, you've seen tons of different replies from many different people being like, oh, bro, can you swap the X hero? Oh, sorry, I don't have it unlocked, right? Let me just throw this out there right now. I think it's incredibly unlikely. Almost zero, probably, I'm going to go ahead and say it, a 0% chance that any of these heroes end up being locked in competitive. It just won't happen, right? I think it's a lot of the internet jumping the gun. Now, that being said, I personally don't think that any character should be blocked by any playwall, not a paywall, to be clear. There is a big difference between a paywall and a playwall, right? A paywall is like EA's old Star Wars game, where you literally, the only way that you could get the most OP stuff in the game is if you bought it, right? A playwall is a lot more like Warzone, where I personally think that Warzone has also gone over the top a little bit, but I'm going to be referencing that game a lot as another Activision Blizzard title who I believe does the same thing that Overwatch 2 is going to do, in that in order to unlock certain guns, you unlock them by playing the game, doing challenges, leveling them up by playing the newest Call of Duty that has come out, which I think has gotten a little bit too oppressive, right? But that is the difference between a paywall and a playwall, and this would be a free playwall that my guess is would have a very low barrier to entry. But what does this actually mean for Overwatch 2, and what can we expect to really see going forward, right? Me personally, I'd just like to go ahead and say this. While there are a lot of people misrepresenting what I believe is going to happen, because, not all the information is out there. I think it's really important for Blizzard to actually be able to get this information out there, and I will say it is quite the blunder to have this information come out the way it is, given that, Overwatch 2, let's not beat around the bush here. People kind of are expecting it to be just a total flop of a sequel, right? Because the reality is it's probably closer to an update, at least in the PvP side of things, than an actual sequel to a game. And, in that lifespan of Overwatch 1, the last 2 years especially have been completely anti-consumer friendly. Like, there's been almost no content. As a content creator who used to love this game, I find myself not caring nearly as much, just kind of taking what we can get, right? And I feel like a lot of the flame and the passion that has driven many people in the Overwatch community to love the game. And at some point in time, you probably loved Overwatch, or still do if you're watching this video. It's very tough to, love a game where, or back an idea that makes the game itself inherently unconsumer friendly. Because if there's a playwall, it's not really entry level consumer friendly. It's just not. I don't think that there's any reason or justification for any hero to ever be on a playwall. And this is what I believe they are going to do, if I had to guess, right? It's been so long since we've had a new hero in a competitive season. I think the last one was Echo, where the first 2 weeks of the character being out, they are not accessible in competitive play. Right? So what I think would end up happening is, for those first 2 weeks, if you have bought the Battle Pass, you will be able to jump tiers to an entry level. For example, in Warzone, whenever there's a new season, a new Battle Pass, there's a new gun at level 20. That new gun just so happens to be overpowered pretty consistently, but if you buy the Battle Pass, you get the level skips to then unlock that gun immediately. So you're not paying to win, you're paying for time efficiency. And to be honest, it's kind of been a bit of a turnoff for me in Warzone. I really don't like seeing this. You saw it with the Marcos in Season 4 with Fortune's Keep. The Marco SMG had insane mobility and a Kimbo attachment. Like, it basically just did so much. And this seems to be Activision's business model across the board, right? Where it's like, okay, this will be kind of broken at release. We'll allow people to buy earlier access to it, but we're not going to actually restrict our player or any player from getting it by it only being a paywall so they can make money. And don't get me wrong, I'm totally okay with Overwatch making money in some form or fashion, right? But I think there's a golden rule I'd like to see the game never cross, and that be access to characters, right? I think what made Overwatch so appealing to a mass crowd was the fact that it didn't do any of that, especially when it first came out. Like, you know, we always tend to forget this, myself included, to give Blizzard credit, right? You know, we forget how revolutionary Overwatch was at its time in terms of actually being fair to the consumer. Once you bought the game, you had everything, right? You had the choice to buy cosmetic loot boxes, and I know we could debate whether or not a loot box system was predatory or not, but it didn't actually affect gameplay at a time where EA was selling pay-to-win Star Wars, right? Where, you know, a Call of Duty was, you know, you guys get what gaming was like in 2016, 2018, until Fortnite came around and changed everything, right? You know, it kind of was a predatory practice, and Overwatch was very fair with what it actually gave and took from the consumer. And I personally, especially to the support players out there, don't think it's fair if this new hero is the first support that we've seen since 2019 has any form of play or paywall to anybody. I just think it's really, really silly. I think that actually is predatory business practice, and I think the only way that you can really get away with that kind of practice is if your game has legs to stand on, right? And, you know, you've seen a 30 million player count decline year over year in Warzone when they really started doubling down on this stuff. Also, you could blame Caldera. There was a back trend in gaming in general, but a 30 million player drop, I don't really think that's what it is. And I feel like that these same kind of not malicious business practices, right? But the best analogy I made for it is, you know, there's the saying, you know, don't poke the sleeping bear, right? And, you know, like pay to win, like the old Star Wars game, is going up to the bear and poking it, being like, hey, you know, we're breaking the rules here, we're poking the sleeping bear. But what this kind of is, and you see it across all Activision titles and even a lot of games out there in general, this is not just Activision, Blizzard, right? You know, they're like, oh, we're gonna throw rocks next to the bear from a distance. So we're not poking the bear, we're not actually hitting the bear with these rocks that's sleeping, but we're just throwing rocks next to it. Like, you're getting right up close to that line, right? Where it's like, okay, I see what you're saying, but you know damn well what you're doing, right? And I just don't think Overwatch has the legs to stand on right now to be doing that kind of stuff to its consumer base when it needs to win everyone back. And again, this is just completely my personal opinion as someone who's seen it a lot in Warzone. I'm not a big fan of it, right? You know, this is strictly my personal opinion. I'm not really saying as to whether or not it's right or wrong, and I'm sure many people will disagree down in the comment section. If you guys want to have a healthy discussion, by all means, go ahead and do that. But to me, this kind of comes across as predatory. That being said, there's a lot of stuff they haven't talked about, and I have a lot of faith that the Overwatch Battle Pass is going to be really fair to the consumer, especially considering they know how behind they are. They know, you know, at least back in the day, Overwatch was way more fair than other titles. So I think there's a lot more to be said, and I think it's really unfortunate for the Blizzard team here that it came out the way that it did. Now, that being said, I wasn't at the Creator Summit, so I have no clue what they're going to talk about. You know, I'm pretty sure I can say that. I mean, I literally don't know. I wasn't there, so it's no big deal. But, you know, I wish they had gotten the opportunity to have it released kind of how they wanted, but at the same time, I'm also kind of glad that this had to come out the way that it did, because I really hope they reconsider ever doing something like that, at least with where the game's at right now. Like, guys, the support heroes have not gotten anything in years. Overwatch fans have not gotten anything in years. This is not the time to have a play wall up. Right now, we need to get back in the game. Just get back in the game. There shouldn't be any kind of wall. That was the whole point of going free to play, right? And I think that free to play will help attract a lot more players. But man, I can't say that I'm happy reading that there's going to be a potential play wall to any character at any time. I don't think that should ever happen in Overwatch. But that being said, I also would like to point out, I think the community is greatly over-exaggerating how it would be implemented. But the big problem with Overwatch 2 has been your average gamer's, like, conception of the game, right? I have so many people texting me saying that don't play Overwatch, and my buddies who are just gamers being like, you see Overwatch is going to have a paywall on the heroes? And I'm like, no, it's not a paywall, it's a play wall, it's on the free Battle Pass. But it's about the image, right? And when you're really desperately trying to, you have a desperate, you know, miscommunication about what the game actually is to your average consumer, this is just going to confuse them even more. So I really just don't think this is the time or place to even consider implementing a feature like this when no one really knows what this game is, right? It's going to be out in 30 days and nobody knows, right? So I don't know. I think that it's a messy situation. The good news is when it's actually put into practice, I don't think it's going to be super predatory or super bad. That being said, I don't think it's good either. I don't think that Overwatch should have any kind of wall on any character or anything that it implements. So I'm a little bit disappointed to see that, but I also am excited to see what else they can possibly do with their Battle Pass. My guess is there's going to be a lot more. But yeah, no, it's definitely not a good look in a game that's already really struggling with player communication. With 30 days out, less than 30 days out, we're like 3 weeks away now. I don't even know what to say. Like, our number one focus should be to get back in the race, get back in the game. We need to be tooth and nail scratching for every player we can get all the way to the door, all the way home, all the way to the finish line, right? And putting any form of playwall on new content is just, it's just stupid. I'm just going to say it's stupid. I don't care how it's implemented. I'm not a fan of any of this. And this is one thing that I want to give Jeff Kaplan for. There was a lot of things I think the old management did wrong in terms of not treating this game as a live service, but where you absolutely must give them credit is that they would never let any of this predatory BS play to access stuff happen in a game that's already struggling, that is already on life support, that has a make or break year. This is just not the time to do it. Get back in the game first, get healthy, and then you could start kind of milking the cow for more money to put back into your game, to put back into the business, and I'm actually okay with that. But yeah, no, so that's a little context on that, guys. That's my thoughts and opinions on the play wall, and it's really important that everyone at home understands. Remember, there was a 2-week grace period where heroes were not even in competitive. And I think it's really important for everyone thinking, oh, it's in comp, you won't be able to pick this hero, it's going to be a play wall. This is not EA Star Wars. It is not EA Star Wars. It is nothing close to that. But at the same time, that is also still not a bad thing. It's still not a good thing, but it's not, nuke the game, nuke all this, like a lot of the people in the community are reacting to. So it's important to get the facts straight. Let's let John Spector and the Overwatch team kind of explain what it is that they're actually coming out with. Slow down a little bit, but again, I don't think there's any way that you can phrase or set up a play wall for a new character for me to think that it would be a good idea personally. So I really hope they reconsider, but thank you guys so much for watching. That's my thoughts on the play wall for the new characters in Overwatch 2 and the Battle Pass. So I will see you guys later, and hopefully we get more info soon. Peace out.